time in a better way. So this time, just let me start with some of the aspects like mm, okay, yes,
Before that,
DE.
can I ask one thing?
Please,
Maybe I
please go
forgot.
ahead.
So, like
Yeah.
in project last time, I don't know whether I asked or not.
Ah,
The second portion where we have to create the data frames like
ah.
Spark data frame, Pandas data frame, and we have to create list tuples. So
Correct,
there we have to use our own. Uh, I'll not say data set, but list of values, right?
correct, correct. Yeah,
Okay.
list of values.
But in
Ah,
but in case of third section, which is data frame, those transformation. Okay, there we can
mm.
use a data set, right?
Yeah, you can. Can you name that what you're talking about, or else let me open that.
Okay,
Uh,
sure. So the
yeah, yeah, that's good because
second
so
was the
that.
first is the second is data frame creation, and the third is data frame
Mm.
transformations, where we will explain about narrow and wide transformation.
Okay.
Okay, so you have written consider a scenario with suitable data sets.
Okay. Mm.
So, like in this case, we can specify a problem statement,
Mm.
but what about in other sections, like how to specify problem statement?
1 minute. Let me open that so that I can give you the betterment. Yeah, I'm moving to that part. Mm. Okay. Which one, dear? You're asking about this data frame transformations, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Let me share the. Hope you are seeing the screen. Okay. This one only, no? This one? Data frame
Yes.
transformation. Okay. Now you asked me like, can we take the data set or you need to? I mean, just by I want to create some list or something. Already here you would have created some details, na? Maybe employee data, student data, or whichever projects data, whatever. The same thing, however, it is available as a data frame. This one here that you can use as usual. Okay, na? That you can use because selection filter with column renamed, all these things we are going to apply on top of the created data frame. Okay.
Okay.
Ah, okay, no? Right.
Okay. So like
Mm.
I can create a very small data set, right? Because like
It's okay, there is
we
one
here
because
we want to
yeah, you are right. Because understanding of the transformations now we are trying. And further, data pre-processing, whenever it comes, then we work with exactly some kind of more number of rows and all. As of now, our approach is to understand what exactly the transformation and how those particular transformations. Because if you are more focusing on pulling the data, maybe as we are creating randomly, now it takes much
yeah.
time. But our interest is to learn the appropriate transformations and to apply these kind of the aspects. Nothing wrong in pulling the data set if it is ready-made available, but if we are generating, because generally we generate the data and then we work with it. Otherwise, if data set is there and if you ask me to share some curated data set, that is absolutely fine. Ultimate goal is understanding of this narrow and wide transformations, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Either you opt for this approach, Rizwan, like already created data frame you can use. Second thing is you can create the data frame with the random this thing. Or else third option is there. You can load your data with the read underscore CSV or something like that, and then you can make use of the data frame to apply these kind of the transformations. Three ways. Either of the way is good, and of course, if data frame if you are downloading and applying, you may feel that how a appropriate scenario looks like, and how you can apply the transformations in the real time scenarios, rather using the random or something like that. That is only the difference. Otherwise, the same applicability and same whatever the transformations we are performing, we can able to see the behavior of all these things actually. Okay, right.
Okay.
Or else we are having some this thing. I used to work with many problem statements. And is there any relationship between COVID affected countries and as well as happier members, happiest countries? Some index is there actually. So these things also I'll share with you guys. Worldwide happiness report. Is there any really correlation between these two kind of things? Recently, we have done some kind of application on Python actually. Maybe you can make use of this data set and you can come up with the selection process and applicability of all these things. Okay, right. Yeah. Any other doubts or something? Okay. So then what I will do is let me start with the understanding of the today's section, because from this we are getting some kind of yeah, questions, friends, actually, like column with column and with column renamed, and as well as some sort of 2DF. So ultimately, the goal is to select few columns and to apply some kind of the manipulations on those kind of the columns. That is the ultimate thing we are going to do. But if I am talking about the initial point, what exactly this COL is doing. And now let me introduce the first aspect. We'll discuss with COL, and second thing is we'll discuss with the column, and with column renamed, and then we'll see the 2DF kind of functionality. Okay, the most frequently used kind of the construct before, and we are getting at least two to three questions. Okay, from each of the topic frames, because column most commonly used, and with column is not only for the renaming of the column, but to perform some kind of the transformations. We are using this. And if your aim is only to rename the column, then you can happily use the with column rename. And 2DF is a functional difference where you can rename the bulk attributes or bulk columns. And at a time, I want to rename some kind of the column information, then I can use the 2DF kind of thing. Right. Let me introduce what this COL object does for us. Okay, as a data engineer, kind of the activities, how these things helps us. And friends, here understanding is simple. Just we are having this call with from PySpark.sql.functions, and majority of our functions are there in this path actually, PySpark.sql.functions module, and we are importing some call. Okay, so COL. First, let me write some coding related to this, and we can easily understand what is the behavior or what is the objective of this particular COL. Assume that I'm having a data frame with user data, which is containing ID of the user and some kind of the first name, last name, and such as email. Because same example we'll be using in other things also. That's what I'm giving. Phone numbers we're adding, and courses they registered. Maybe we are having SQL, Python, Hadoop, Spark, like that. We are maintaining one database. Assume that. Maybe if I want to access the members who are completed the big data training, maybe we are getting some kind of the project, and I want to get the resources. Maybe four or five resources we are having. Similarly, Databricks. How many of uh, how many members were cleared this Databricks capstone and as well as the certification? Maybe 10 members I'm having. So, like that, we are maintaining some data here in the courses, and something like that amount. pay to get the product. Okay, maybe for the certification or those kind of things. And if I'm referencing who is working from our customer from, okay, this kind of the data we have. So just to here and there, we are using these kind of attributes. That's what I'm referring without any confusion. Just a schema reference. That's all, nothing else. And coming to the column usage, just I am making use of this UOL in such a way that okay, just I am getting the user data frame, and as usual, we have seen what exactly that select does is select only pick up some kind of the information from the existing data frame, and here you can directly use this call of ID, and you can even directly access the first name, and thereafter we are having the a last name, and as usual, just show which is used to display the appropriate information within the data frame. Now, this column, especially what it is doing is it is taking some kind of the ID or whatever the attribute value, and it is simply returning. What exactly the column is doing is just it returns. Okay, have a look on this, guys. It returns a class which is nothing but column class. Which is nothing but column class based on the given column name. If you see the column name here, column name is ID field actually. So that ID, it is going to return a class of this particular column and based on the given column name. And this particular column is very flexible whenever, guys, just while using some concatenate kind of thing, or if I want to perform some kind of aliasing of some sort of the columns. So in that particular case, it is always better to have the usage of columns. Okay, and let me try to give one more example. This example is just I want to concatenate because as I said, we are having the first name and as well as the last name. Now I want to get the full name actually. Okay, I want to get the full name of the employee. I assume that that is the requirement. In that case, simply what we need to do is just we can make use of the column. Okay, and we can concatenate. Okay, without any hassle, we can do that performance. Okay, like so just I am implementing these things. We are referencing the data frame. And just we are selecting some kind of the option such a way that simply what we are doing column of ID of the employee, directly I can make use of this first name, name of the things, and as well as last name. Okay, first name, last name, and I want to print the appropriate requirement is I want to concatenate first name and last name, then I should get the full name. So in that particular case, just I am using the statement called concat. Okay, concat is a function where it is going to add or concatenate. Generally, while working with the strings, you can make use of that word concat so as to perform some string concatenation. Suppose I am having these two strings, Indian software, and if I want to concatenate into a common, so Indian software, like that, I want to get as a common word. Similarly, here also within the concat function, what we are sending is I want to pick up the first name, and thereafter there is one more function we discussed, is actually lit, which is a literal. In between, I want to give the comma and a little space. I can do that with the literal. Okay, and thereafter the column of last name we are giving a simple convention. And what we are doing is just we are closing this column and as well as this concat on top of that. On top of that, just what we are doing alias of whatever the name I want, full name, alias of full name dot show. Okay, just to observe this thing, friends. Earlier we have seen this example, but with the simple first name, last name kind of thing. This column, what it does is it clearly specifies that I am making use of some kind of transformations or some kind of the expressions. I want to make use of some kind of expression. And so as to highlight that particular point, you can refer this column. And additionally, column is not doing anything, friend. Just it is returning a column. That's all. It is a returning a column. And without column, okay, without column also, without this UL object also, I can implement the same aspect with respect to data frame. Okay, like so as said, if you want to write some alternative method to this thing, here our understanding is we have selected ID, first name, last name. Along with that, my data frame should print the concatenation of all these things. Okay, we are going to perform this activity. Similarly, if I want to make use of data frame kind of the access, okay, other than this column, there is a possibility. Just have a look on this for the same kind of the concatenation, that is to implement the full name requirement after concatenating first name and as well as the last name. Okay, now the process is pretty simple. So just however we need to refer the data frame. Okay, now generally, friends, in the applications, what we'll do is we want to segregate, we want to separate the lines of code. In that case, if still other object is there, or if anything else I want to refer, just use the slash, dot and slash, and go to the next line, just to select. Okay, it remains same, guys, ID, and as well as I want to take the first name as it is, because I want to know that before applying any transaction, what is the original data, last name, and then just you can refer. Okay, concat of. Okay, concat of. You see this as I said, no, rather than using column, any other alternative is there to fetch the column. Of course, just with the data frame name, I can specify a bracket. How we are doing in the listener, same thing. You can directly mention the first name, comma, and later, however, I'm using space here. Then we need to use the last name. Last name also, either I can use the column. Let me use the column of last name. Okay, name or last name, just interchangeable I'm using. So just to close this thing, and then as usual, alias of full name. Okay, so then you can close this dot show. See, so this column, how I can make use directly column of ID, column of first name, column of last name. Similarly, while working with any kind of the data frame, you can mention the appropriate attribute information also. Okay. So what I mean to say here is either I can go with the column to refer the attribute information, okay, or else, or if you refer the other thing like with the data frame itself, with the data frame itself. I mean to say, suppose I'm having a data frame of column name. Like this also I can use. The functionality of COL and this data frame of the attribute are same. Only the thing is to refer the appropriate information or to refer the appropriate column without any without any expressions, or directly if I want to fetch the column information, then I can go with the DF. These are all multiple variations how I can perform the select operation. Now, one more observation here is there, guys. Like, there is a common question from date format actually. So this particular date format is something like which is available. Many date formats are there, but we standardly follow some year, a month, and date. Okay, this format will follow in the Databricks orientation. Now the task is like this, like I want to perform. Okay, I want to perform the date, whatever I'm having, and I need to cache that into the integer format. It happens, sometimes, while working with some kind of downstream analysis, or if I want to share this data with some kind of the functional users. Okay, there are certain situations where I can make use of date format into the integer format for the easy handling or something like that. Like that. Because however the entire thing is in the number format, so we thought of maintaining that in the integer rather than the date format. So that is the idea. What we can do is here, my aim here is this particular year should be converted into the integer type. So that means a kind of concept, if you are from the background of C, CPP or Java, there is a concept called typecasting friends. There explicitly what we'll do is we'll send some kind of the information and we'll typecast that particular thing. Okay, here what we are doing is, let me write the code for this. Same data frame I'm taking. And what I'm doing here is just I want to select. Okay, so column I want to use ID. And then here there is some functionality called date format friends actually. Okay, within the same thing, I can write this date format. Okay, the date format and date format you can import from the common thing is there no, from this thing as usual, PySpark dot SQL dot function. Majority of the functions are in this thing only, friends. Import date format. Okay, so whatever the functions like as I said, column, concat, lit, all these are things or belongs to this thing. Okay, but there is a repository kind of thing, myspark.sql.functions. From this particular module, from this particular package, all these COL, concat, lit, date format, all are there. Okay, just we are making use of that particular functionality in our program. So now this thing is there is one column called customer from. Maybe some clients are there, and we want to get the when the customer or client join with us, from which date they are belonging to us. Just what we are seeing is customer from, and here we are mentioning year, month, and as well as the date format. Okay, so just we are mentioning this thing into the string notation. And what I'm doing here is I want to convert this date format into, I want to typecast that there is a function called cast. Just to simply use the integer because we want to convert this data into the integer format. Just I am converting that. And finally, what we're doing is alias of just customer from. The same thing I can use alias of that one. Now I want to get the print schema. Okay, so observe here, friends. Print schema is a method where I want to see if I want to see some kind of which are all the data types. There are two options, guys. One, you can go with the D type to find out the data types of the attributes in the corresponding data frame. This is one thing. Similarly, we are having the print schema. Okay, in the database technology, friends, schema is nothing but the design of the database. And here, print schema specifies that whatever the data frame I'm having, and I want to get the kind of the data types of the attribute, same activity, then I can go with the print schema. Now, earlier, maybe this is the date format in the earlier kind of thing. Now we have typecasted to that integer so that if you are typing that print schema, you can simply get the integer kind of the data. But this is also one of the application where you can convert your date format into the integer or whichever the means you want. So this is some more functionality which is very much helpful. And your most uh, handy, okay, and most flexible kind of the function is with column function, friends, actually. So basically, if you refer this usage of the with column, I can use for the rename, and even I can perform some kind of the transformations. Okay, I'll give one or two examples so that you can see how you can make use of the with column. Actually, this particular method is this is a method in this thing actually. I'm having the PySpark within that SQL. There is a notion of data frame. Within the data frame, we are having this option actually, data frame and the instance. Okay, this instance. Instance means nothing but the child or example or object, all these things. So basically, with column belongs to this PySpark.sql.dataframe.dataframe instance. I can say with column is a functionality which belongs to this instance. And mainly, it returns a new data frame. Friends. The important point is it returns a new data frame after performing the activity. Okay, it returns a new data frame after performing the activity. And of course, what you can do is you can add a new column. Okay, or else replacing the existing column. You can replace the existing column. Uh, of course, that you want to maintain the same kind of the functionality. Like, so I'm having a new column or I want to replace the column and with the same name. Okay, suppose, see here, friend, it is a bit tricky to understand. Observe here, friend. Suppose I'm having full name. Uh, I want to get the full name from first name and as well as the last name. Now, what I'm doing is I am applying with column. I am applying the with column. And what it does is just with column, if I am saying like this, F name, the concat logic, if I'm using here, concat of F name, comma, last name. If I'm using that, simply what it does is, guys, just to observe here, if you are using a F name, actually this is the first name earlier, and we're having a separate column. At the moment you use the with column and the content after concatenating overrides the existing first name actually. Okay, that means now this first name behaves as a concatenation of the first name and as well as the last name. Okay, that is the reason why I'm insisting this point. As a developer, simply you need to observe, guys. With column rename is simple option where directly you can rename the corresponding name of the column. But if you are using the same name here and there, like in the transformation, you can make use of the F name and last name. But in the new column also, if you are using the existing column, then simply the old contents will be overridden by the new content generated by the with column option. That point we need to identify, guys. Now let me use this example so that you can see how we can perform the activity of user df. As usual, so the same thing we are taking, and what we are doing is just I am making use of select id of the corresponding thing, first name we are having, and as well as the last name also is there. I want to preserve these things as it is. Next line, as I said, as a connector, we are using the backslash. And here the usage of which column, C is capital here, which column of, as I said, just I can create a new column here, full name. I can write the logic. Okay, my logic is, however, we are familiar with the logic concat of whatever the first name I'm having. Just I'm making use of that and the literal. This is for the comma and space. And thereafter, we are mentioning that last name in the same concat function. Okay, once this is over, just we are making use of this show. Okay, now what it does is just it is going to generate the appropriate data frame. However, it display the first name. Uh, Initially, ID is there, friends, as usual. ID is there, first name, and then it is going to print the last name. And with column, create this full name actually, full name. So just it is going to concatenate the first name and as well as the last name. So this is the way how you can apply your with column option. So with column just helps us. In this example, just I am making use of the convention of existing details and we are running through the activities. Okay, like concatenating all these kind of the things. Now there is one more option, friends. So the other advantage of this with column is you can derive the column also. Okay, derive a new column with existing column. Okay, let have a new column with the existing column. Suppose like this. Maybe there are some courses we are offering, and the BU heads want to get how many members are there in Spark, or how many members are there in Hive, how many members are there in Hadoop. Like that, we are having certain toolkit actually. That is one thing, and moreover, we are having the details of the users. Like maybe the user details are like this. He registered in some kind of the courses like this. That means in the first quarter, maybe he has done only one course, and in the second quarter, he has done three courses. Maybe two are from Databricks, and one is a communication training, and one is in Office O365, something like that, guys. Now I want to get this total list. Okay, there is no differentiation between because even that is Office 365 or Teams or Databricks or whichever, all are having the equal weightage. We should consider that as a certification only. Now, the point here is in the data, we are having this kind of thing, and this is nothing but the type of the array. Okay? So, which is maintaining all the common kind of the data, same data type. Now, I want to apply a rule, or I want to apply some kind of the transformation so as to get how many courses are done by a particular user. Okay, because we are having plenty of users in our data frame, and we want to get each user. Suppose if I am taking Uma, how many he has done? If I am taking Guna, how many certifications he has done? If I am taking Rizwan, how many certification courses he has done? So something like that, we want to generate some kind of the code with the help of the with column. As usual, friend, there is one important method for that is the size actually. So size, what it does is whatever the column you are giving, it is simply counting that. In this example, if I am passing like this, 3, 4, then obviously what it does is it gives 8 actually. So the size which is taking the array as the input, and it is going to count all those, summate all these particular individual values, and it gives the final outcome. So now what we're doing here is, but to apply or to get this applicability of the size, I need to import the functionality. Okay, that functionality is there as usual. Our favorite path, PySpark. Within that, I'm having SQL, and within these functions, we're importing size. Okay, the size we are importing. Now, the logic how you can write here is same data frame we are using, and just I am selecting the appropriate things, and we're applying some ID here. And now we are having the details of the courses actually. Okay, within that courses, the people, HR people recorded everything. How many, I mean, how many certifications they have done, but they have not counted. They asked us to help. Okay, like we need to count manually. Is there any logic? Something like that scenario. In that case, guys, just we are applying this logic with column, and what we can do is here I am writing a new thing, course count. Okay. Now simply size of whatever the array I'm having, courses. Just I'm making use of dot and slash just to show. Okay. Now simple. It is going to print ID along with the courses, and then it is going to create the course count, and then it is displaying the details of suppose one is there, and maybe he would have done some one comma two like that. Then what it does, 4, and similarly 2, 2 comma 1 comma 2. Here also 3, 5. Like that it is going to be. So some kind of the expressions you can apply, and you can perform the activity with the with column. So the point, guys, which column is not only using, not only we are going to use for renaming the columns, but you can perform these kind of concatenation logics, or you can add a new column, and you can write your own code so as to perform some kind of the activity. So that is what how you can refer the kind of the with column. Okay, and as I said, one more option is there where I can go with the with column renamed actually. If you observe this example with column renamed, as I said, it is purely for the sake of renaming the columns. Okay, renaming the column. But and moreover, if your aim is to only rename the columns, but you don't want to apply any transformations, then better option is with column rename. Okay, simply, but just to observe, friends, with column, the syntax is new column, some kind of logic. With column renamed, with column renamed, it's not the new column, friends. It is the existing column, and I have to use the new column. That is the difference, friends. Because don't get confused. Definitely, uh, these things are there in the examination perspective also, in the certification perspective also. We should be very cautious. With column, just I am giving the new column name first, and then I am writing the logic. Whereas in the with column renamed, first we should give the existing column, then only we have to give the new column. Okay. So now the point is simple. What I want to do is just I want to use the data frame, and then I want to apply this logic select of, um, take this ID, first name is enough, assume that, and then the usage of the with column rename. Just I am picking up with column renamed. What I want to do is this ID, I want to take as the user ID. Okay, just I want to convert that into the user ID, and then I want to apply some. So that's it. Now you see how simple it is. Just I am using this one as the existing, and I'm generating the new column. That is understand. Now the question, guys, you can use the chat window. Suppose ID is not there. Suppose ID is not there. That means the column I have mentioned in the with column renamed is not there. Then what is the outcome? What is the outcome? Hope you got the point, guys. Because we are working with column, and suppose if any column is not there, then what is the outcome? Very simple. Just to remember, no operation. So it won't return any error, friends. Okay, no error has been returned. Just the advantage of each column renamed is if the column, whatever the column you are referring, and if that particular column is not performing any activity, and suppose if the column is not there, then you can even if the column is not there, it is not going to reply anything. It is just this is a no operation if schema does not contain the given column. Okay, so that is as a note you can take, because sometimes we are getting these kind of the questions also. What it does is, let me write in a clear way. This is a no operation if schema doesn't contain. Okay, if schema doesn't contain the given column name. Okay, it won't harm us. It won't uh, give any trouble for us. If the column is there, then it is going to rename. If the column is not there, no problem. It is just ignore that thing. So if your aim is to rename only the column, then compared with column renamed is best. Only if my aim is to rename. But whereas if I want to apply some kind of the transformation, say they use select or with column, because concatenate or casting or some kind of, just now we have seen counting of the courses. These kind of the transformations really helps us to understand or to perform some kind of the activity with respect to with column. With column generally having the higher capabilities and higher functionality compared with the with column renamed. And the last topic of today's session is 2DF. Okay, what is this 2DF is to rename multiple columns at a time. Simple. Okay. So because with column and with column renamed, we have seen, and there the thing is pretty straightforward. Just we have given the existing column and we mention the new column in case of with column renamed. Whereas with column specifies the new column I have to mention first and then I can write the logic. But the 2DF is nothing great, friends. Here, the simple point is I want to rename multiple columns because maybe at the time of registration or maybe at the time of understanding the client information, we roughly created these entities, assume that first name, last name, okay, something like that. I'm having just I'm taking. These are all the columns I registered. Now my target columns, how I want to convert these things is in a meaningful way, in a professional way, user ID and user first name and then user last name. Okay, so these things, our expectation is the columns are there as ID, F name, and last name, but I want to convert those things as user ID, user first name, and user last name. Of course, you can achieve the same with column and with column rename, but we use the data frame like this. So observe here, guys. User data frame. Just what we are selecting, friends, here, I need not refer the individual things because this is a list. If you observe, this is a list, and I'm having the list of attributes. Just select off required columns. Then what we are doing is dot slash. Just we can make use of the 2DF. Okay, in the order of however we have collected, no? ID should be converted into the user ID. F name should be converted into the user first name. Last name should be converted into the user last name. Now there is a little trick, friend. Here we are using the keyword arguments actually. So the number of arguments that can be taken, multiple number of arguments, target columns, okay, dot slash, and then you can show. Okay. Now your display is like this. Okay, ID should be printed as user ID, user first name, user last name. Okay. So all these details, however, there in the data frame, and those details remain same. Only the thing is we are changing the attribute information. Okay, this is how you can refer the usage of 2DF functionality, guys. Now, to understand this, see, just we are having some functionality. If I'm sending some kind of columns information, this is star. I want to explain that star. Just I want to print the type of the columns. That is the first thing. Next thing is I want to find out the length of the columns. How many columns are there? So this is a simple code, which is a user-defined function. Okay, however, we'll see. But to understand this star, what exactly this star is doing. Now, while running this function, what I'm sending is function one and function two. Some details I have given. Okay, F1, F2. Automatically, what it gives is type of this thing is tuple actually. It is going to give the tuple. Tuple we have studied, friends. A number of arguments. It is seeing this is the first argument, this is the second arguments too. But whereas if I want to see the entire this thing as a single thing, then I should send the list actually. Tuple if I am sending, it is taking as the individual arguments. If I want to send like this, df of f1 comma f2. See, this is a list. Now what it returns is however type. Okay, this is nothing but a tuple. There is no difference. Okay, tuple within the list format we are given. Now the number of length of this thing is only one. That means this f1, f2, whichever we are talking, It is taking as a single one. Okay. So that's all, guys. And let me quickly give the key takeaways of the session so that we can wind up. So first, I have introduced you the call, which is very similar to uh, select of some call of ID, those kind of things, just as a pickup method. And we're having other way also, user def dot select of user def of ID. Either the method you can use. Okay, no problem. This is the first thing we have discussed. Second is the um, casting. So just we have used some date format. There we have converted date into the integer type of the data that you can use. Third thing, we have seen the with column. Okay, with column having the multiple advantages. I can generate the new column. I can rename the columns, or even I can perform some kind of the transitions on that. Okay, those things can be done because some kind of evaluations or some kind of expression management I can do with the with column. Coming to the next one, with column renamed. So this thing is to rename the existing column. That's all. It is not going to do any additional activity. Just it is going to rename the column. If your aim is to rename only the column, then better you go with the rename column. Next one is 2DF. This is quite handy, guys, because suppose if I want to perform the multiple column rename, okay, then you can make use of this thing. Simple. Um, Whatever the user data frame I'm having, just you can make use of the select. And here I need to mention the columns data in the form of the list. And then just you can make use of the 2DF. A small change is rather than mentioning directly, just star the target columns. You have to mention this. And then just you can make use of this show. Obviously, it is going to perform the act. So that's all, guys. And next week I'll come up with some more pointers. Okay, those pointers definitely helps us to understand the data manipulations actually. So majority of our certification exam is containing those questions. Thank you. Any doubts?
Thank you,
Please
sir.
let me know. Otherwise, we can wind up. Yeah, this one. Thank you, Pavani. Yeah, meet you, meet you, and just update the status maybe through Teams or mail with Deepika or Guna or with me, so that accordingly we can showcase some other sessions also. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Guna.